On the desolate fields of Zarnak, the wind mourned softly through the ruins of what was once a thriving station. Amid the crumbling structures, the final Rombeast lay dying. Its massive armored sides heaved slowly, each labored breath exhaling a visible cloud in the biting cold air. Round the beast, several leaders of Zarnak stood in a loose circle, their faces obscured beneath heavy cloaks. "This is the end," murmured Counselor Tharn, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Without the Rombeasts, our civilization faces certain extinction." Counselor Vera, a younger member known for her keen intellect, surveyed the horizon. "Not necessarily," she countered, her tone firm yet tinged with sorrow. "Our scouts have discovered a distant planet, Earth, teeming with creatures akin to our beloved Rombeasts. They call them elephants." The group turned towards her with a mix of hope and skepticism. "And what do you propose? That we plunder another world just to ensure our survival?" Tharn's question hung heavily in the air. Vera met his gaze with unwavering resolve. "Yes, to preserve Zarnak, we must extend our reach. It's not merely about survival. It's our moral duty to safeguard whatever remnants of the universe we can still protect." Her words ignited a spark of determination against the stark backdrop of their dying world, arousing a faint glimmer of hope amidst the shadows of despair. In the dimly lit command center of Zarnak, palpable tension filled the air as leaders gathered around the holoscreen. The fading light of their dying sun cast long, ominous shadows across the room, reflecting the desperation in their eyes. "Look here," a scientist pointed out, his voice steady despite the high stakes. "This planet, Earth, harbors creatures biologically linked to our Rombeasts." A hologram flickered to life, displaying majestic elephants moving gracefully across the vast savannas. The Zarnakian leaders leaned in, their gazes transfixed by these gentle giants of Earth. "Could they be the key to our survival?" murmured the chief, her eyes locked on the screen. "There's a risk," a younger leader countered, his brow furrowed in concern. "Invading a planet, even discreetly, isn't in our tradition. What if we are discovered?" The chief turned, her voice resolute. "Our priority is the survival of our species. We must act, even if it challenges our morals. Prepare the scouts. We approach Earth with caution, but we must proceed." Nods of reluctant agreement echoed around the room as the screen zoomed in on Africa, the next target in their desperate bid for survival, emphasizing the gravity of their decision. As twilight merged into the darkening sky, Layla, a seasoned conservationist, watched the perimeters of the sprawling Ambosli National Park. Her keen eyes scanned the horizon, not for the majestic elephants she had dedicated her life to protect, but for anomalies disrupting their sanctuary. Recently, the elephants had become restless, their trumpeting more frequent and urgent at night. A crackle of dry leaves halted her in her tracks. Silence enveloped her, the air thick with tension. Tonight, it wasn't poachers that frightened her, it was something untraceable, almost ethereal. "Layla," called Jomo, her colleague, from behind a bush. "Over here." His voice was a whisper tinged with urgency. She approached cautiously, her boots pressing softly against the dry soil. Jomo directed his flashlight toward the ground. There, half buried in the earth, lay an object unlike any she had encountered before, a sleek, metallic disc pulsating with a soft inner light. "What in the world?" Layla murmured, crouching down. Her fingers hovered over the object, hesitant. "It's warm," Jomo observed, his brow furrowed in perplexity. As Layla touched the disc, it vibrated slightly, the light within flaring momentarily brighter. The distant cries of the elephants echoed around them, a stark reminder of the unknown they now faced together. As dawn painted the Kenyan savannah with hues of gold and amber, Rachel, a seasoned wildlife conservationist, surveyed the horizon through her binoculars. The tranquil grazing of a herd of elephants in the distance offered a semblance of normalcy, but her instincts screamed that something was amiss. Shifting her gaze, she noticed strange, geometric depressions near the waterhole, patterns too precise to be the work of nature. Her radio crackled to life. "Rachel, you need to see this," came her assistant's urgent voice. Minutes later, she stood beside a glowing, peculiar artifact half buried under an acacia tree. It was unlike anything she had encountered, metallic with an eerie glow that pulsed rhythmically. "What do you make of this, Tom?" she asked, her eyes locked on the object. Tom shrugged, his expression a mix of wonder and bewilderment. "Looks extraterrestrial. Could it be?" Rachel lifted the artifact, her mind racing with the implications of their discovery. Were they being visited? The quiet hum of the device hinted at a technology far beyond human comprehension. "Let's get this to the lab," she decided. As they prepared to transport the mysterious find, Rachel felt the profound weight of their discovery. This was more than just an anomaly. It might redefine humanity's place in the universe. The night sky over the sprawling savannah transformed from a canvas of twinkling stars into a spectacle of unexpected chaos. Without warning, the ethereal calm shattered as streaks of light zipped across the horizon, each ending in a muffled crash that resonated through the earth, a symphony of strange meters, unlike anything witnessed before. Nina, a local wildlife conservationist, was conducting her nightly rounds when the sky erupted. Her truck rumbled along the dusty path, its headlamps casting eerie shadows between the acacias. As each meteor struck, her heart raced with a mix of awe and dread. Pulling over, she whispered into her radio, "Might be poachers, going off-road towards the eastern sector." The air was thick with the scent of burnt ozone as she approached the first impact site. Her flashlight beam revealed a heart-wrenching scene. An elephant lay unmoving, its once majestic form now unnaturally contorted. There were no visible wounds, no blood. It was as though the life had been siphoned directly out of it. Nina knelt beside the massive creature, her hands trembling as she touched its icy skin. "I'm so sorry, old friend," she murmured, her voice barely audible against the howling wind. The ground was littered with strange, metallic fragments, shards that glittered under her light, clearly alien in origin. A shudder of fear ran down her spine as she collected several pieces, the grave implications slowly dawning on her. She was not dealing with poachers. This was something far more otherworldly. Back at her truck, she radioed her base again, her voice steady despite the inner turmoil. "This isn't normal. We need backup. And we need it now. Something else is out here." As she waited, her eyes fixed on the horizon, more lights continued to fall, a silent deluge upon the earth. Amina felt an overwhelming sense of isolation, standing as the sole witness to an invasion she could neither anticipate nor understand. Yet amidst the fear, the defiant spark ignited within her. Whatever these beings sought, she resolved not to let it pass without a fight. The sun rose reluctantly over the horizon, as if wary of the chaos it would reveal. News of the mysterious deaths of the elephants had traveled faster than the dawn, igniting a global inferno of fear, curiosity, and outrage. Screens worldwide flashed with haunting images of the gentle giants lying motionless in their natural habitats. In the dusty office of the local wildlife reserve, Maria, a seasoned conservationist, faced a barrage of microphones and cameras. Her eyes, red-rimmed from a sleepless night, scanned the crowded room. "Last night," she began, her voice steady despite the trembling paper in her hands, "we lost more than elephants. We were confronted with a threat that extends beyond our understanding and our planet." The room erupted with questions. "Are you suggesting aliens are responsible for these elephant deaths?" one reporter asked, skepticism evident in his tone. Maria nodded slowly, her expression solemn. "The evidence we've gathered is not of this earth. This isn't about wildlife. It's about our place in the universe, and whether we're prepared to face what lies beyond." Across continents, living rooms were filled with muted tones and anxious whispers as families watched the unfolding news. Governments issued statements urging calm, while military and intelligence agencies convened emergency meetings behind closed doors. In a secure conference room, a grizzled general addressed his team, his voice cutting through the anxious murmurs. "We don't know if they're hostile, but we must be prepared for all scenarios. This is not just a conservation issue. It's now a matter of national security." As fear mingled with curiosity across the globe, humanity stood on the brink of a new reality, united by a shared vulnerability, but divided in their response. The world hadn't just woken up, it was on edge, peering into the cosmos, wondering who or what might be peering back. In the dimly lit committee chamber of Zarnak, the air was thick with tension that could be sliced with a blade. Seated around an arc-shaped table, the leaders of Zarnak exchanged wary looks, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the central hologram displaying Earth's rotating image. "We've strayed too far this time," murmured Counselor Threx, his voice a low rumble that echoed through the high-ceilinged room. His gaze fixed on the hologram, he continued, "Our ancestors hunted rombeasts honorably, not like thieves in the night." Across from Threx, Counselor Varina, a staunch advocate of the mission, leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Honor. Our people are starving, Threx. This is about survival, not pride." "The humans will fight," interjected Counselor Jarn, breaking the brief silence that had settled. "And they will learn and adapt. We risk more than we gain." Varina scoffed. "And if we do nothing, what then? We wait for extinction." The chamber fell silent, the weight of her words heavy in the air. Threx sighed deeply, the burden of their decision clear in his expression. "No," he conceded reluctantly, "but we must find a way that does not make us monsters." Their eyes met, an implicit understanding forming among them. They needed a new path, one that could save their people without sacrificing their morality. The solution remained elusive, but their commitment to finding it was palpable, echoing through the chamber like a somber vow. In the dimly lit Situation Room, government officials and top military brass huddled over glowing screens displaying the latest satellite imagery. Hush fell as Dr. Lena Thembu, seasoned wildlife conservationist and Earth's point-of-view character, stepped forward. "Look here," Lena pointed at the screen, her voice steady despite the weight of her discovery. "These aren't mere meteorological anomalies. They're signatures of their technology, disguised, but unmistakable once you know what to look for." General Abrams leaned in, his gaze sharpening. "And you're certain these patterns match the artifacts found near the elephant carcasses?" "Absolutely," Lena affirmed. "I've cross-referenced them with the data we retrieved from the field. It's the same technology." The room buzzed with low murmurs as the implications dawned on everyone present. Lena continued, "We have a window of opportunity before they strike again. We need to deploy our countermeasures now, to protect our remaining wildlife reserves." Brams nodded, turning to his colleagues, "Coordinate with the Air Force and Navy. I want those countermeasures in place within 24 hours. We're not just defending our planet, we're protecting our very humanity." As strategists scrambled to implement the plans, Lena's eyes remained fixed on the screens, her mind racing. The battle to protect Earth's majestic creatures had just escalated into a fight for the survival of humanity itself. Beneath a crescent moon, the tranquil night on the African savannah was shattered by a low, rising hum. Outlined against the starlit sky, sleek shapes descended with precision that bordered on the supernatural. The Zarnakian crafts, invisible to radar, hovered ominously over the elephant reserve. Inside one of the vessels, Commander Zorak looked down through the transparent floor, his gaze fixed on a herd below. "Initiate capture sequence," he ordered, his voice devoid of emotion, betraying the inner conflict between the mission's necessity and its moral implications. Below, Mira, the conservationist, patrolled the perimeter. She froze as the ground vibrated softly under her feet. Raising her binoculars, she caught sight of the ships, Not on my watch, she whispered, determination stealing her voice. Scrambling to her jeep, she grabbed the radio. Alert. Unidentified craft at Grid 7. Mobilize all units. As the Zarnakian beams activated, enveloping the nearest elephant in a cocoon of light, Mira's jeep skidded to a stop just outside the beam's reach. Stop. Why are you doing this? She yelled toward the mysterious visitors. Zarnak, observing her defiant stand, momentarily faltered. On his screen, her figure was tiny, but her presence was undeniably powerful. We seek only to survive, he replied through the communicator, his voice laden with a weight of regret. Much like you. Mira's gaze hardened. There's always another way. Let's find it together. The beam flashed off, and for a moment, Zarnak considered her plea, the possibility of a different path briefly halting the operation. As dawn broke over the savannah, the first golden rays illuminated a scene of tense confrontation. Grace, a local conservationist, stood face to face with a Zarnakian, their figures outlined against the sprawling landscape. The air was charged, heavy with the scent of wild grass and the unspoken dread of the unknown. You've come so far for these creatures. Grace's voice was steady, though her heart raced. Why? The Zarnakian, its skin glowing subtly under the morning light, tilted its head, regarding her with glowing, curious eyes. Survival, it responded in a surprisingly gentle tone. Like you, we fight for our survival. But perhaps we have lost sight of the cost. Grace clenched her fists, her gaze never wavering from the creature that seemed so alien yet spoke of such human concerns. And what cost would justify this? She gestured towards the distant bodies of fallen elephants, majestic even in death. The alien paused, the weight of its decision visible in its stance. We are learning, perhaps too late, that survival shouldn't come at the cost of another's existence. Their eyes locked, a mutual understanding unfolding. Here, on this quiet morning, two species, worlds apart, found common ground in their shared fears and hopes, silently questioning the true cost of their survival. In the dim light of dawn, the conservationist stood overlooking the endless, serene savannah. The air was heavy with impending tension, the silence a stark contrast to the previous day's chaos. Earth had seen its vulnerability laid bare, mirroring Zarnak's own historical tragedies. Do you think they caught on? Any of them? Why we had to come? A soft, conflicted voice asked from behind. Turning, the conservationist faced Zara, the Zarnakian emissary, her figure shrouded in the early morning mist. They saw invaders, not desperate souls seeking survival, he replied, his voice tinged with melancholy. Your people took without asking, Zara. That breeds fear, not understanding. Zara stepped forward, her gaze lingering on the horizon. And yet, we are more alike than either cares to admit, both driven to extremes for those we cherish. Where do we go from here? The same place we've always gone, he sighed, a reluctant smile breaking through. Forward, hopefully together this time. We must learn from each other, rather than fear the unknown. Their eyes met, acknowledging the fragile trust that now linked their two worlds. As the sun rose, casting long shadows over the savannah, it seemed to promise either a new beginning or the end of an era, illuminating their shared path forward.